Okay, wir sind eine relativ kleine Runde und das hat den großen Vorteil, dass wir sozusagen heute eher ein besonderes Gespräch daraus machen können, in dem jeder die Chance hat und jede die Chance hat, gut zu Wort zu kommen. Es ist in dem Sinne auch kein Streitgespräch, wie man das so bei den Diskussionsrunden üblicherweise im Fernsehen oder sonst wo hat, wo es immer gegeneinander geht. Man kann eigentlich schon vorher sagen, es ist eigentlich klar, wir ziehen mehr oder minder eigentlich an einem Strang. Und es geht heute Abend ja vor allem darum, welche Impulse können wir uns gegenseitig geben und wie können wir das Engagement auch sozusagen wirkungsvoller machen und uns gegenseitig dabei ermutigen. Klimaschutz ist ja unser Thema heute Abend. Es ist einerseits Weltpolitik. Klimaschutz betrifft von den 17 Sustainable Development Goals, die Weltentwicklungsziele, die vor einem Jahr bei den Vereinten Nationen beschlossen wurden, vor allem zwei, die heute Abend für uns wichtig sind. Einmal das Ziel 7, in dem es heißt, nachhaltige und moderne Energie für alle gewährleisten, und Ziel 13, Bekämpfung des Klimawandels. Dazu kommt vor knapp einem Jahr die Pariser Klimakonferenz mit dem klaren Beschluss, dass die globale Erwärmung auf deutlich unter 2 Grad gedrückt werden, begrenzt werden muss. Und dafür müssen 80% aller noch vorhandenen Reserven an Kohle, Gas, Erdöl in der Erde bleiben. Die Frage ist, wie soll das gelingen?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Caroline Ntaopane. As it has been indicated, I'm from South Africa. I'm working for the organization called Women, which is an African united movement against the destruction of natural resources. And our focus is on coal because we are also working on climate change and energy issues. In your brief introduction, you have indicated that our electricity in South Africa, it comes from coal. So 90% of our electricity is actually come from coal, and to be able to feed those coal power plants, you need to have many more coal mines in the area. So the cost of this coal is actually being paid by the poor communities who are living in the first line of these mining areas. Just to mention a few impacts, in Emalahleni, there's a place called Emalahleni, and Emalahleni means a place of coal. It's in the province of Mpumalanga in South Africa. So this province is a home of 12 coal power stations, including the largest one, which is Kusile, that Eskom has just built now. We have communities who are facing the problem of water. South Africa is a dry country. It's a water scarcity country. We have problems of water, and coal mining uses lots of water. In these areas, you are seeing the pipes of water going into the mining areas, passing nearby the communities, and the communities have to suffer because they have to walk long distances to go and collect water, especially the women who are living in those areas. You will see them carrying babies and carrying the heavy buckets of water. Sometimes they stay for weeks without water in the area. The little water that they have in this area is contaminated with acid mine drainage. In Emalahleni, we have about 600 abandoned coal mines. So these are the coal mines that have closed without being rehabilitated. And these are the coals that are actually causing the problem of acid in the area. But the most important part is that, why I'm saying communities are suffering, is that electricity in South Africa is supposed to be really cheap. We have 80% of the communities who are connected to the grid. And this 80% of the community who are connected to the grid, they can afford to use this electricity. So we are paying as the communities 7 times higher than the big users of electricity, which are the steel making companies and the smelting companies. And so again, the cost goes back to these communities because at the end of the day, they're still using the biomasses such as paraffin, wood, and they're also going, women in this area, they're going to scavenging and using their own hands to dig this coal in their area so that they can make fire, they can also cook in their community. But also, another big problem, the social problem that comes with the mining areas where coal is. There's a high rate of teenage pregnancy, prostitution, HIV in this area, because what is happening is that the coal mining companies, they come to communities when they open, they promise communities employment. But at the end of the day, they actually don't employ communities who are living close to this area. So in these areas, there's high unemployment rate. They get migrant workers who are coming from other areas to come in and work in those areas. But there is no proper infrastructures that is being developed to accommodate all this change and the populations that is coming into this area. So I will also say that the natural environment in South Africa is in crisis because of this coal mining. People are losing their land, so this has also threatened the food security. Mpumalanga used to be a food basket of South Africa in terms of agriculture and providing food for the South African community. So we are losing that. We're also losing our important water resources like our rivers that forms part of the history of South Africa. So we also seeing that we are losing all those kind of things. So I would say that the people who are paying the cost are actually really the poor people in South Africa who doesn't even benefit from this coal power plant, but they also pay with their health. In Emalahleni again, we have done a research with our organization. We have 54% of the communities there who are suffering from cardiovascular illnesses, like your respiratory illnesses. And the notorious illness in this area is also what we call black lung illnesses. And these workers are being retrenched without proper compensation. They are resettlement without proper compensation. So the communities are paying the cost of coal in South Africa.
Okay. Part of this movement.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I never heard of the word. It's not well known in South Africa. But what I'm sure is that the South Africans are starting to talk about the energy, transition, the turnover from focusing from, fossil fuel to renewable energy to be able to combat climate change. So we have a number of movements growing and trying to speak to our government to invest more in renewable energies, and we also. Should I switch it off?
Back to the
So I think the South African politics are very different to German and Norway politics, whereby they are already taking, efforts, and there's also capacity and political will to start talking about renewable energies. In South Africa, we know we only have one utility that owns our electricity generation. It's Eskom, and it's a government entity. And so they have monopolized the whole system. They don't want to decentralize it, give chance to many electricity smaller companies to actually start with the renewable energy processes. So there is a pressure, of course, from these civil society organizations, but we don't have the policy also that are really strong around the issues of energy. The number of researches that has been done showing that South Africa is possible to change to renewable energy, and we can do it. But it's been said renewable energy is very expensive, and one of the things that our politicians have been saying that it's also because of greed and corruption in South Africa, and also the interest that they have. We know that when Medupi and Kusile were being built, ANC, which is the ruling party, they have benefited through Chancellor House because of Hitachi. So it's very difficult to fight this, and it's very difficult to speak to our government to try to move away from this fossil fuel. And so the companies like countries like Norway and Germany, some of them, they have been to South Africa trying to say they will offer a support to South African government. For example, we know that a German government, they actually import some of the coal in one of the regions in Mpumalanga, and we've been talking about transfer of skills. And our government in Mpumalanga, they've been very reluctant to take that route because of the corruption, as I've already mentioned. So it's very difficult for the South Africans who are actually trying to fight for energy justice and also energy transition in the country because of lack of political, will from our politicians. South Africa, we have, wind, we have abundance of the sun. So there is a potential to change, and also the country can actually do that on its own. We were saying to World Bank, when Medupi was actually asking a loan, we tried to speak to World Bank and asking World Bank not to grant that loan to Medupi Power Station. And based on the number of researchers that changing into renewable energy can even create employment in South Africa, which now many people are not employed in South Africa, and that is why we have so much high rate of crime. So the symptoms are there of the problem of not wanting to change or to diversify our economy, and government doesn't want to deal with that. It's not, we don't even need Germany or Norway to go to South Africa and convince government that they need to change, but it has to be the government of South Africa. They are failing to listen to the people. They are failing to implement their own policies. And we all know that South Africa is one of the countries that has the best laws and also best constitution in the world. Our constitution says everyone has a right to live in an environment that is healthy and not harmful, and for the protection of the future generations. So if we were destroying our natural resources, making ways for more coal mining and more coal power plant, it means that the government has no vision to protect the dignity and the rights of the people. So in the communities, especially where I'm coming from, even the heritage of the people has been destroyed. In some of the areas, government have supported the mines to exhume the graves. In our culture, we go to our ancestors and speak to them for blessings. But today, when communities, they have no way to go because the graves were exhumed and they were not there. Some of the graves, they are just written unknown, unknown, unknown. And the people of South Africa in the Lephalale area, they are actually trying to say it's our ancestors that are angry with us because we don't have rain. And we know why we don't have rain. It's because of this coal mining power. So we don't need anyone from outside. Yes, we might need the skills. Germany has done it before. We might need the skills from the people who have done it before. But we don't want anybody to come and convince us that we have to change. It has to come from the people, and the people of South Africa, they have spoken. They have asked government that change, otherwise we are killing the system. Natural environment is in crisis. There is no water. I'm sure you've read in the newspapers and magazines, TV, you've seen that there is no rain in South Africa. Communities are continuing to suffer more, while lots of water is actually being used by the mine. And when the rivers are contaminated, mining, they don't need dirty water as well. They want clean water. They contaminate the water, but they also go and look for clean water and leave communities with no choices but using this dirty water. So I think it has to be the decision that South African government is taking. Like, we've been here for the few days, the German government says we didn't force South Africa to build those coal power stations. They have decided on their own. We're just supporting something that has already started and is a democracy. But we said it was not a democracy because the people were not consulted. If the community people are consulted, they're taking decisions on the path that they want to take around about the energy issues, then it's a democracy. Because energy is an issue of justice, so we need to end this energy poverty by involving the people. And people are saying, leave it in the ground and try to invest. And the people also understand that coal plays a very important history of South Africa economic. And we also understand that it's not an event, it's a process that will really take, maybe a couple of years, but at least it has to start somewhere. So right now it's not starting, it's not moving, even though we have a small scale of wind panels, and it has demonstrated that it is working and it can work. So why don't we roll out those kind of projects in other areas in South Africa? My expectation from the German civil society is that always you need to remember that when you have electricity, you have warm water, and you need to remember where is this coal coming from that gives you that kind of luxury lifestyle and enjoying all, the lights that you get. Because the people where this coal is coming from, they are not enjoying the benefit. They are carrying the burdens of the health costs, they are carrying the burdens of social costs and also economic cost. You cannot build an economy when you have a sick society. The studies have indicated that the lifespan of the communities, people living in Emalahleni, is only up to 50 years. You go there, you are even unable to drive to see where you are going, especially during dry season, because of the dust and in that area. So you always need to remember that the people are suffering. And the message that we've been leaving with the German government was that they need to stop supporting crime. Wherever there is a violation of people's rights, we think that is a criminal activity. So they need to invest in such projects that are actually disadvantaging people. They need to support a development that is defined by the people themselves of the South Africans. And my impression was that the developed countries, they are actually playing a snake ladder with the developing countries. We were told that if IPEX, by the Export Foreign Ministry, they did not give this credit to the German companies that are actually supporting the building of these two power plants. China or USA was going to do it. So it's about who get there first and forgetting about the environmental impact that people are suffering, the destruction on the natural resources and also the health of the communities. So we've left a very clear message that their role is to make sure that they transfer skills, they actually support only the renewable energy project. They help South Africa to move away from using coal. So it's been our message throughout the whole week. And so my message is that it's very important to build this kind of solidarity. So we've also met with the Office of Green Party in Parliament, and they've also committed that a little that they can do to help the South Africans, they will do it. So there are indications of partnership to help the South Africa to progress, and we welcome all those kind of efforts as long as people are not being violated and their rights are being infringed. Thank you.
Dankeschön, Caroline. Dankeschön an alle Gäste hier heute Abend.